Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, no, look, hugely excited for it. Like, I'll probably go to it anyway, in 2 weeks' time. Like, and obviously Dublin and Kerry, no matter what the code is, it's always a spectacle. It's always entertaining, and I think there's a lot of very good storylines going into the final, especially with the fact that Kerry haven't won it in so long, beat us earlier in the year, but Dublin are coming in great form, having won the last two games. So it's going to be very, very interesting. Just a word maybe on the Camogie final happening this weekend. Obviously, you're a Cork man, and Cork are obviously in action against Waterford. Waterford bidding to win their first All Ireland Camogie title in 78 years. So I mean, look, there's a lot on the line from a Waterford perspective, but I was looking at it there, like Cork are slight favourites going into this one, as you'd expect, obviously, with the fact that Waterford haven't won it in such a long time. But what would be your thinking going into the final?
They haven't just won it in such a long time, Aaron. They've never won it. So,
All right,
you
yeah,
know,
maybe it was the last final in 78 years. I think it was then.
yeah, it's the last final in 78
Last
years,
final
but
in 78 years. Yeah.
it was the only final they've ever won. So,
Wow. Yeah.
or ever been ever. I'm getting confused now, Aaron, because it's a long night. But yeah, it's the second final that Waterford have ever been in. An incredible achievement for them. And maybe there's some aura of this team to beat in ladies football. They go into a novel final and they might sense an opportunity to create history. And maybe there's at the back of their minds as well from a Waterford point of view. Best of luck to them. I wouldn't mind if I know I'm a Cork fan and stuff like that, but I wouldn't be totally like I actually have relatives from Waterford from a past relations, so I'll actually be happy enough for them if they win the All Ireland. They actually deserve it for the effort they put in here. Brianna Regan and goal, Lorraine Bray, Leisha Forrest, Iona Heffernan, Beck Harton, Niamh Rocket. They're exceptional players all over the pitch for Waterford. I definitely wish them best of luck. In regards to a car point of view, actually, I was speaking in the sort of start of Matthew Toomey on the podcast. Check that out if you haven't already. That interview. He's okay. He's quietly confident going into the final. The Amy O'Connor was interviewed by Ciara McCarthy as well. Well worth a listen as well. And she's bubbly. She's excited for the final as well. And so are the whole car team in general. But I spoke to Matthew Toomey actually. I asked him what how does he deal with the favourites tag? And he said, that's just a media thing. We're just going to get on with the job. We're concentrated on getting an All Ireland here for Cork Camogians. I just think they're going to get on with their jobs in general. Like, from a Cork point of view, I know Waterford have been it's been an exceptional story this year and probably one of the stories of the season across all four senior codes. But Cork have lost the last two finals to Galway and Kilkenny. And if Cork were to lose the final after beating Galway and Kilkenny, it'd be kind of a kick at the teeth, to be honest with you. No disrespect now to Waterford, but the Cork really kind of have to win this final to get an All Ireland Camogie title. The board, they haven't won one in 5 years. In 2018 was the last title they won. But they have some very good players all over the field. And as well, like Limerick, like Dublin, like the Dublin ladies, men's, all them in general, Cork are peaking at the right time. They lost 4 games in a row at the start of the season, including the Galway 3 times, and Waterford in the Munster Championship. Let's not forget they lost at Barky Keefe 118 to 115, so that was a tough defeat to take. But since then, they've beaten down Clare, Kilkenny, and Galway. They've won 4 games in a row. So they're on a good run of results at the moment. They have good defensive structure, good attacking structure, and a good bench as well to come onto the pitch. When you look at the 5 subs that came on against Galway, you'd Aisling Thompson, Orla Cronin, Orla Callan, Cleona Healy, and Laura Hayes. All of them mixed experience, goal getters, you name it. Like Cork had very good types of players coming off the bench that day against Galway. And I think that'll stand them come Sunday afternoon. Will it be enough to get them over the line? As a Cork fan, you'd hope so. You'd hope that get over the line. They have some very good players already on the pitch. Saoirse McCarthy's been in exceptional form this season from a Cork point of view. Matthew Toomey obviously praised her on the podcast during the week. Katrina Mackey's been brilliant from play. Amy O'Connor has scored freely as well. Laura Tracy's been very good in the back line. Maeve Callan, very good. Libby Coppinger. So Cork have really performed this season, but can they do it when the day matters most? They haven't done so in the last 2 years. This is the opportunity to do so on Sunday. So you'd be hopeful from a Cork point of view that they do it. But Waterford, there might be a story on the horizon. There might be history in the making come Sunday. And I think every neutral will be up for Waterford, and rightly so. They are going for their first ever All-Ireland title. But Cork will be focused on the job. I think Cork should win it, Aaron, but then again, I wouldn't be surprised if Waterford pull off a shock.
Yeah, because how many times have we seen this across all codes, really, where one team knocks out two favourites, obviously in Galway, Kilkenny, and then they're coming in as huge favourites. Obviously, haven't done so. You've got Waterford there, who are seen or perceived as a massive underdog. And how many times down the years have we seen the big team slip up in those moments? So like there is a bit of pressure on Cork to deliver, considering what they obviously done beating Galway and Kilkenny, and that could possibly play into Waterford's hands.
Possibly so, and maybe thinking about the last two finals, the way they lost them, and the way they lost the Kilkenny final last year, but they didn't start fast enough. Simple as they needed a Fiona Keating goal to keep them in the game, and they were kind of catching on Kilkenny's coattails for the whole game. Galway, they let a lead slip in the end. Katrina Mackey scored a goal. They were 5 points up at 1 point. You were thinking Cork were going to close this out, but then Galway scored, I think it was 8 or 1-5 on the bounce, and that was the end of that story. So, Cork had to be glued in for the first minute and had to be glued in at the last minute as well. And what I will say about Cork, I think there's been a changed Cork team after the Kilkenny game. We've seen it so many seasons. Cork flattered us even the last few minutes of games, and it happened in the league final against Galway earlier on the year, which was a tough defeat today for the players out of matching as well. But against Kilkenny, when Denise Gall got that late goal, late scores, Cork still found a way to get back into that game. And that's a credit to Cork in general. Maybe that could be an aspect that will get them over the line. But then again, I wouldn't be surprised if Waterford put off a surprise. We've seen it would be the 2021 against Dublin, that amazing victory. Waterford, we think that there's no pressure on Waterford. Everybody thinks they're going to this final to make up the numbers, which they aren't, by the way. I think Beck Carton and Niamh Rock will be thinking about other ideas. Lorraine Bray, the same. They want to win in All-Ireland, make no mistake about it. But Cork, I think, no matter what the opposition, they have to be glued on for the first minute onwards. If they're not, Waterford could catch them on the hop. And that could be the unfortunate reality of the whole situation.